New York City, the city of dreams, the concrete jungle where aspirations are forged and fortunes are made. Or so the story goes. For a family of four, the dream of living in the Big Apple for anything less than a staggering $13,000 per month isn't just a challenge. It's a financial death trap, a one-way ticket to the homeless trap. Forget the romanticized images of quaint brownstones and bustling avenues. The reality is a relentless assault on your bank account. If you're a family or considering a move to NYC, prepare to have your illusions shattered and your wallet emptied faster than a yellow cab speeding through Times Square. Rent Rhapsody, a symphony of sticker shock. Let's start with the elephant in every New Yorker's living room, if they can even afford one rent. The data doesn't lie. NYC's housing costs are not just higher than the national average. They are astronomically, jaw-droppingly, mind-bogglingly higher. We're talking anywhere from 188% to over 430% more expensive than the national average. To put that into perspective, imagine paying nearly 5 times what someone in a more affordable city pays for the same amount of space, or less space, as is often the case here. For a family of 4, you're looking at needing at least a 2-bedroom, more likely a 3-bedroom apartment, if you want anything resembling personal space. While some sources might optimistically quote median rents for apartments at around $3,400 to $4,000, those numbers often reflect studios or 1-bedrooms, or units in less desirable, far-flung boroughs requiring brutal commutes. For a family, the reality for a decent 2 to 3-bedroom apartment in a relatively accessible neighborhood pushes easily into $4,500 to $6,000 per month range, and often significantly higher depending on the borough and neighborhood. Manhattan's median rent in February 2024 was already $4,500, and for a 3-bedroom, it soared even higher. Brooklyn isn't far behind, with median rents around $3,950. Even cheaper areas in the Bronx or Queens still demand $1,800 to $3,000, which, while lower, still represent a massive chunk of change for a family trying to make ends meet. This isn't just an expense. It's a primary financial black hole that swallows incomes whole, leaving precious little for anything else. Grocery gauntlet. Eating your budget alive. Think you'll save money by cooking at home? Think again. Your grocery bill in New York City is going to be a substantial financial burden. The data confirms it. Groceries are significantly higher than the national average, often 17 to 20% pricier. This isn't just about organic produce or gourmet cheeses. It's about the everyday staples: milk, bread, eggs, meat. Everything costs more. For a family of 4, even with careful meal planning and avoiding excessive eating out, you're realistically looking at a minimum of $1,000 to $1,500 per month on groceries alone. Many families report spending closer to $1,800 to $2,000, especially if they aren't meticulously couponing and hitting every sale. Factor in occasional takeout or a modest restaurant meal. Because let's face it, even New Yorkers need a break from cooking, and that number climbs rapidly. This isn't discretionary spending. It's the fundamental cost of putting food on the table, and in NYC, that table often comes with a hefty surcharge. Utility uproar, powering your pains. You've got a roof over your head for now, and food on your expensive table. Now, how about keeping the lights on, staying warm in winter, and cool in the stifling summer? Utilities in NYC are another significant drain on your finances, estimated to be 15 to 24% higher than the national average. Electricity bills can be particularly shocking, especially for larger apartments or during peak seasons when air conditioning or heating is in constant use. A family of 4 in a 2 to 3-bedroom apartment can expect to pay anywhere from $250 to $400 plus per month for electricity, gas, and water. Internet and cable add another $70 to $100 or more. Unlike in some parts of the country where utilities are a relatively minor line item, in NYC, they are a constant, fluctuating reminder of the city's high operational costs. And forget about the luxury of in-unit laundry. Most New Yorkers trek to expensive laundromats, adding another often overlooked but regular expense. The commute catastrophe. Getting around costs a fortune. New York City boasts an extensive public transportation system, which is often touted as a cost-saving alternative to car ownership. And while it's true that you might avoid the exorbitant cost of parking, which can be hundreds of dollars a month, gas, and car insurance, public transit isn't free, and for a family of four, it quickly adds up. Transportation costs are 19 to 22% higher than the national average in NYC. A monthly unlimited Metro card currently costs $132. For two adults, that's $264. If you have older children who also commute to school or activities, those costs multiply. Even with a good public transport system, unforeseen taxi rides, ride shares, or the occasional need for a car for, say, a weekend escape or hauling groceries will further chip away at your budget. Annually, transportation for a family can easily hit $2,000 to $3,000, if not more. While it's cheaper than owning a car, it's still a substantial, non-negotiable expense. The daycare dilemma, education's extortion. This is where the dream of living affordably in NYC for a family of four often completely collapses. If you have young children, childcare costs are not just high. They are an absolute financial titan, crushing any hope of a modest budget. The data is sobering. Childcare prices in New York are notoriously high, and families are spending over 25% of their income on it. The average cost for center-based care for an infant in NYC can reach a staggering $26,000 annually or even higher, with similar figures for toddlers. Even family-based care isn't much cheaper, hovering around $18,000 to $20,000 per year per child. Consider a family with two young children needing full-time daycare. You are immediately looking at a minimum of $3,000 to $5,000 per month, possibly more. This single expense alone can rival or even exceed the cost of rent in many other major cities, let alone a good chunk of your NYC rent, unless one parent stays home, which then impacts income, or you qualify for extremely limited and highly competitive subsidies. This expense makes the $13,000 per month threshold seem laughably low. To truly afford childcare for two children, a family would need to earn well over $300,000 annually, a figure far beyond the reach of most. Healthcare havoc, when staying healthy hurts your wallet. Even if you manage to navigate the financial minefield of housing, food, and childcare, the cost of staying healthy in NYC delivers another significant blow. Healthcare costs are 27 to 44% higher than the national average. While many families have employer-sponsored health insurance, the premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket expenses can still be substantial. For family coverage, average annual premiums were over $25,500 in 2024. That's more than $2,100 per month just for the premium, before any copays, deductibles, or unexpected medical needs. Even with decent insurance, a serious illness or accident can quickly rack up thousands in out-of-pocket costs. The high cost of medical services in NYC means that every doctor's visit, every prescription, and every emergency room trip feels like a luxury. The unseen costs, NYC's hidden financial traps. Beyond the major categories, New York City has a knack for nickel-and-diming you at every turn. Sales tax, city income tax, on top of state and federal, and the general convenience tax of urban living all add up. Eating out, even occasionally, is expensive. Entertainment, from museums to Broadway shows, comes with a hefty price tag. Even a simple coffee or a quick bite from a street vendor is significantly more expensive than in other cities. Then there's the lifestyle creep, the desire to participate in the city's vibrant culture. To give your children experiences unique to New York often means spending more than you initially budgeted for. Birthday parties, school supplies, extracurricular activities, and even just go to the park, unless it's a free one like Central Park, can quickly drain your reserves. It's a city designed for spending, and resisting that gravitational pull requires superhuman discipline. Crunching the numbers, the $13,000 myth exploded. Let's do a rough, conservative calculation for a family of four in NYC, based on the provided data and general estimates for 2024/2025. Rent: a modest two-bedroom in a decent but not prime neighborhood for $1,500 to $5,000 per month. Being extremely conservative, many will pay more. Groceries: $1,200 to $1,500 per month, conservative, assuming minimal eating out. Utilities, $300 to $400 per month, electricity, gas, water, internet. Transportation, $260 to $400 per month, 2 adult Metro cards, occasional extra transit for kids/emergencies. Childcare, for 2 young children, $3,000 to $5,000 per month. This is a huge variable, but essential for many families. Healthcare out-of-pocket after premiums, $300 to $500 per month. This is highly variable. But even with employer insurance, co-pays and deductibles add up. Miscellaneous, personal care, clothing, modest entertainment. Unforeseen expenses, $800 to $1,000 per month. Adding these up, even on the lowest end of these conservative estimates. $4,500 rent, plus $1,200 groceries, plus $300 utilities, plus $260 transportation, plus $3,000 childcare, plus $300 healthcare, plus $800 miscellaneous, equals $10,360 per month. And that's being incredibly optimistic, assuming you find a relatively cheap 2-bedroom. Cook almost every meal, have minimal medical needs, and barely participate in any city activities. If you factor in a more realistic 3-bedroom, slightly more eating out, and average childcare costs, that number skyrockets. Let's take the higher end. $5,000 rent, plus $1,500 groceries, plus $400 utilities, plus $400 transportation, plus $5,000 childcare, plus $500 healthcare, plus $1,000 miscellaneous, equals $13,800 per month. This easily exceeds $13,000, often by a wide margin. And remember, these are just expenses. This doesn't account for taxes, which are substantial in NYC, saving for retirement, college funds, or any kind of emergency fund. To comfortably live in NYC as a family of 4, most financial experts would argue for an annual household income well into the high 6 figures, often approaching or exceeding $300,000. The Homeless Trap, a harsh reality. The title of this piece, Homeless Trap, isn't just clickbait. It reflects a grim reality in New York City. The astronomical cost of living, particularly housing, is directly fueling the city's homelessness crisis. In January 2024, the number of families with children in NYC Department of Homeless Services shelters reached an all-time high of over 19,600 families. The average number of families in DHS shelters in 2024 was over 19,100, a 17% increase from 2023. These aren't just statistics. There are thousands of families, thousands of children whose lives are impacted by systemic issues and root causes driving homelessness. The primary reason people become homeless in NYC is a lack of affordable housing. Eviction, severely overcrowded housing doubled up, domestic violence, and job loss are major immediate triggers, but they all ultimately circle back to the inability to afford the city's exorbitant costs. New York City has lost over 1 million units of affordable housing between 1996 and 2017, and the vacancy rate for affordable apartments is less than 1%. This creates a ruthless environment where a single financial setback can push a family from precarious housing into the shelter system. Conclusion, a wake-up call for the uninitiated. So, could you live in NYC for less than $13,000 a month for a family of 4? The unequivocal answer, based on the cold, hard data and the experiences of countless families, is a resounding no. The city's legendary cost of living isn't an urban myth. It's a financial Everest that few can conquer without a substantial income. For those without high-paying jobs or significant savings, the dream of New York City life quickly turns into a nightmare of financial struggle, perpetual stress, and a constant proximity to the homeless trap that ensnares so many. Before you pack your bags and chase the Big Apple dream, understand the brutal financial realities. New York City is a magical place, but its magic comes at a price that, for a family of 4 on anything less than a 6-figure income approaching $200,000 or more, is simply insurmountable. The homeless trap isn't a distant threat. is an ever-present danger in a city where affordability has become an increasingly cruel illusion.